Mr. Courtney from Connecticut for his 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, just an observation before I get into the question is just that, clearly there's a serious situation that's being described here. And, but I appreciate the fact that, Attorney Goldman, said that it's speculative right now to determine whether that's a systemic phenomenon that's happening. We have an Inspector General's report that's looking into this, and personally, I feel like this committee should let that process take place before we start going in and changing statutes. I just think that that in my opinion would be the normal process before we make a systemic change to find out whether there's a systemic problem. On a more positive note, I would just say that my experience with EBSA, particularly in terms of ESOPs, has been pretty positive. We had Assistant Secretary Gomez in my district about a year or so ago. We visited an ESOP proponent, which is a great aerospace parts manufacturer, very active in the ESOP association. And at that point, again, we were working on the Work Act, which was legislation that I sponsored to, again, get the Department of Labor to finally sort of officially designate an office that would really help promote the ESOP option that's out there for a lot of really good companies that, maybe, again, are hitting sort of generational sort of milestones and want to, maybe consider it, but really don't have the consultant basis or, the wherewithal to really understand it. And again, it was adopted as part of the omnibus in 2023. Again, very bipartisan effort and something that, certainly the private sector advocates worked with Congress to get that through. I mean, so the authorities there for that office, unfortunately, the funding hasn't been there to really sort of kick it in and get it into place. So again, just to follow up Ms. McBath's question, Mr. Khawar, I mean, again, if we really are serious about trying to promote ESOP ownership and to expand it, which again, I think you've got people like Bernie Sanders and conservative Republicans in agreement that that's really healthy for our private sector. But we need to again really get that office stood up and populated with people so that it can move forward. And maybe you can just respond to that.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I mean, I completely agree that, and was very pleased when the department got the authority under the Work Act to do employee ownership promotion, because I think it is incredibly important to have programs that can highlight best practices in the private sector, can really promote things like worker voice and the benefits of employee ownership. We were able to, and because we believed in the importance of this program, divert money from other parts of our budget to kind of do the basics of standing up the program. To be very honest with you, it is not going to come close to achieving its potential in the current budget situation. We were, in the Biden administration, the leadership made a point of conducting visits to employee-owned companies, talking about the program in speeches and really highlighting it. There are two really core functions of that office that I'm pretty worried about. The first is that, the head of the office got fired in the Trump administration and then later rehired, but she is kind of the staffing, and it's not going to be sufficiently staffed. We're not going to really be able to do the level of outreach and education that we want to. The second part of the bill, though, that is still unfunded, was money that the department could give to states to help them do worker ownership programs within the states, and that has never been funded, unfortunately.
No, thank you. And again, Mr. Bonham, another part of that bill was to get the adequate consideration rule finished up, and again, that's obviously still an agency process. Again, maybe you can just talk about that quickly, because I know that was an important priority for your association.
Thank you, Mr. Courtney, and again, thank you for your questions. I want to answer in two parts. First, in relation to the Office of Employee Ownership, and we're very, very grateful for your work and others' work to help create that office and strongly support its continuation. But it's noteworthy that one of the reasons that the ESOP community sought that office was so that there would be an internal alternative voice to the career employees at EBSA, who always had a very, very negative view of ESOPs. So we needed to have somebody inside the Department of Labor who thought that they were a good idea for retirement plans for employees. Secondly, in terms of the adequate consideration regulation, this is an area that we have been seeking for almost 50 years to have clarity on what rules a fiduciary should follow in order to fulfill their good faith effort in valuing the company's shares. And the agency has steadfastly refused to issue those regulations. It needs to be done, and it needs to be done with reasonable input from the community.
The gentleman yields.